Okay, today's lesson is going to combine the last two lessons of combining like terms and distribution. So you always want to distribute first, and always keep in mind, back of your mind, PEMDAS. There might be something that'll pop up where you can combine something inside the parentheses first, and we'll see if that happens as we get to other problems on this lesson. So, simple things. These first ones are pretty simple. The first four are just combining like terms. The second four are just distributing. Then we're going to end up doing both. I'll do the evens. I want you to try the odds. So I'm going to look at number 2 first. You're going to do number 1 and number 3 after me. So we look at the terms. First, what I would do is maybe underline all the terms. So I'm going to make this a little bit bigger. And remember to underline the sign in front of the term. I underlined the negative in front of the x, the negative in front of the 9, the negative in front of the 4x, the positive in front of the x. Those are each separate terms with their sign. Now remember, if that negative 8x did not have a sign in front of it, what would that mean? It would mean it's a positive. So now we look, do all the terms have a number with them? Well, not all of them. This last one, let's add a 1. If there's no number in front of a variable, put a 1. Then we can combine like terms. That means anything with the same variable, the same letter. I have 3 terms with x's. I have an x there, x there, x there. So I just combine the numbers in front. A negative 8 plus a negative 4, and a negative 4 plus 1. So negative 8 minus 4, that's negative 12. Plus 1, that means I got to move to the right from negative 12. That gives me a negative 11x. So now I am done with those 3 terms. All I'm left with is a constant. A constant is a number that has no variable with it. That negative 9, there's nothing to combine it with, so I just put the negative 9 at the end. What you want to try to do is put your variable terms first and put your constant terms second. And what I kind of want to do, let me do one other thing, because I really think we should do this, is move the variable terms together. So I'm going to put this step in. This should have probably went in before, but I have a negative 8x. I'm going to move that negative 4x over and the positive 1x, and then put the negative 9 at the end. So now you can see where the negative 9 ends up at the end. I put all my x terms first, then I put my constants at the end. And that doesn't really change anything. I just like to do that as an organizational way. And number 4 is a little bit more complicated, but I'll explain what you're going to do. So let's look. Do they all have a sign? Yes. Do they all have a number? No. That m, negative m, let's put a little 1 in there. Now let's underline our terms, including the signs. Negative 1m, negative 5n, negative 14m, positive 12. Now, you might be going, well, I don't know how to organize these. Put them in alphabetical order. All your variable terms, those are terms with letters in them, come first, and then alphabetical. So m comes before n, so I'm going to put all my m terms, as in Mary, m terms first. Negative 1m, I'm going to keep that underlined. Negative 14m, underlined. Negative 5n, see, that's alphabetical, mn, and then the positive 12. Now I combine like terms. That just means combine the terms with the same variable and then combine the terms that have no variable. So there's 2 terms with m's, negative 1 and negative 14. That gives me negative 15m. Negative 5n, I don't have another variable term with it that has an n, so I leave it alone. Negative 5n. Positive 12, my constants go at the end. Positive 12, there's nothing to combine it with. Again, you guys, I'm still seeing people who aren't understanding that they need to only combine terms with the same letter. You cannot combine negative 15m with a negative 5n. Those are different letters. You cannot combine them. Okay? So go ahead and pause it and do 1 and 3. Okay, now we're going to go, I'm going to do number 6 and 8. This is just distributing. Negative 8 times 2x Well, negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Negative times a positive gives me a negative, and it's a positive because there's no sign in front of it, and the x comes along with it. Negative 8 times positive 5. Negative times a positive, always a negative. 8 times 5 is 40. Okay, I have two terms. This is a pretty simple one. There's nothing else I can do because the x cannot be combined with the constant. They're different terms. Let's look at number 8. Positive. This is a positive 10. You don't have to put the positive when it's the first number in basically the number sentence or in the expression or the equation, but it's there even though it's not there. Positive 10 times negative 3. Positive times a negative is a negative. 10 times 3 is 30, and the x comes along with it. Positive times a negative, again, positive times a negative is a negative. 10 times 6, 60. There's nothing I can do with that. I'm done with it. Go ahead and do 5 and 7. Pause it, do 5 and 7. Okay. On this one, an algebraic expression is in its simplest form when it has one variable term and one constant term. Okay, so to simplify an algebraic expression, today it's going to be distribute, if possible, and then combine like terms. Oops. Okay, so first thing we need to do, let's look at some of these. I'm going to do the evens, you're going to do the odds. So we got to look at this one. Again, PEMDAS, parentheses, or GEMDAS if you want to think of it that way, grouping. Well, parentheses are grouping symbols. 1 plus 9n, they are not like terms, I can't combine them. What comes next? E, exponents. And I'm going to write it down over here. G, grouping. E for exponents. M for multiplication. Oops, multiplication. D for division. A is addition. And S for subtraction. And the last four are, well, multiplication, division you do from left to right as you see them. Oops, I just spelled subtraction. Totally wrong. Subtraction. And then you do addition and subtraction as you see it left to right, not any kind of order, just left to right. So we already looked at grouping. There's nothing we can do inside the parentheses. We looked for exponents. There are no exponents. Multiplication. The only multiplication is this negative 3 outside. So I'm going to do negative 3 times a positive 1. That's a positive 1. There's no sign in front of it. Let's leave the 4 out here. Negative 3 times positive 1 is just negative 3. Negative 3 times positive 9 is going to give me a negative 27n. So let's go through there. Do all of them have a sign in front of them? No, so that 4 out front has a positive. Okay, do they all have a number? Yes, cool. So let's underline everything that has its sign out front. Make sure you're underlining the sign that's in front of the number. When I say in front, that means reading it left to right like we normally do a sentence. What sign comes before the number? Now let's put these in order for variable terms first. That negative 27 comes first. Okay, then I can put the positive 4 and the negative 3. Now we can combine like terms. Do you see any other terms with an n? No, so I can't combine it with anything. It's just 27n. Now I got a positive 4 and a negative 3. Well, what's 4 minus 3? It's positive 1. We're done. Okay, you have to have a sign on every term except the first one if it's positive. Every other term has to have a sign in front of it. They're kind of like little dividers to show you where the terms are. Let's go to number 4. Again, this one's just like the other one. Grouping, can't do anything to a 1 minus 6x. Not like terms, so I can't combine. Exponents, there are no exponents. Multiplication, Well, we've got a negative 4 times, again, that's a positive 1. What's negative 4 times positive 1? That's negative 4. This is a positive 8, so let's put the positive 8 out front. Negative 4 times positive 1 is negative 4. Negative 4 times negative 6x, negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 6 is 24x. Now, do all my terms have a sign? Yes. Do all my terms have a number? Yes. So we're good. Let's underline the terms with the signs. Okay, so that positive 24x, that goes out front. And you can put that positive on there. It does not wrong. I'd prefer you do it at this point right now anyway. So we took the positive 24x, put it out front, and then we can put the positive 8 and the negative 4. So the positive 24x, can we do anything with that? No, because there's no other x term, so it's by itself. But I have the positive 8 and the negative 4. That's just 8 minus 4. So what does that give me? A positive 4. And I'm done. Oops, I forgot that x. That x has to go in there. Sorry about that. I almost lost my x. So the x's should not disappear. Okay, your variable should not disappear unless you actually did inverse operation to get rid of it, but you're not doing inverse operations yet. Let's look at the back. So I'm looking at all of these, and these all kind of look the same. If you look at number 7, that negative 8, that's just going to sit out there on the end until you get your distribution done. Okay? So after you get the distribution, then you can combine with that negative 8. It doesn't matter that negative 8's out front or out back or whatever. You leave it alone until after you've distributed, then you combine like terms. I'm going to look at number 8. So number 8, I've got a 3y out front. Does it have a sign? No, let's put a sign. It's a positive. If there's no negative sign, it's not negative. We got this negative 6, we've got this positive 1y, and we got a positive 1. Okay, so we are going to just bring down the positive 3y because there's nothing I can do with that yet. If we look again, GEMDAS grouping, there's nothing inside the parentheses I can do. There's no exponents, so multiply. Right, here's the multiply, negative 6 times 1. That's negative 6y. Negative 6 times positive 1 is a negative 6y. Negative times a positive again, it's negative 6. Now do I have everything combined? Well, no, I have two terms that both have y's in them, so I can combine those. But let's go ahead and underline and figure out if our terms are complete. Do all of them have a sign? Yes. Do all of them have a number? Yes, so we're good. Let's underline them with the sign. Now combine the ones with the like terms, with the same variables. Well, I got two terms with y's, so what's positive 3 and negative 6? That's negative 3y. The negative 6 over here on the end, that's by itself. There's no other constants, so that just goes there at the end, negative 6. And we're done. That's simplifying. Okay? All these should kind of be able to be done the same way. So go ahead and do the odds. I just want you to do the odds. You should have already done, let's see up here, you should have already done 1, 3, 5, and 7. I want you to do 1 and 3 on the front, 5, 7, 9, and 11, and 13 on the back, okay? These are the ones you are responsible for doing. Once you are done with those, then go grab the homework and work on the odds on the homework.